it can be a little scary, just the thought of leaving the job that gives you security right now. Even if you have a job that has inherent risks involved, like being in the military or policeman or firefighter, the security that comes from I go to work, I know what I do, I'm good at what I do, I get paid for what I do, and then I go home is it's a nice security blanket to have. And so sometimes people are apprehensive about going on to the next thing, even if you know there's something else that you really want to do, there's something else that you're passionate about. I feel a little safer having made that transition a few years ago, but one of my good buddies, Jake, has recently made that transition from active duty military to full-time investor. And so I got the opportunity to talk to him on the Zoom call that you're about to see to capture some of those sentiments and moving from active duty military into full-time real estate investing. This isn't true just for military people. I think this holds true for anybody that has a job. Leaving that job to move into something where you're 100% responsible for your own production was intimidating. I mean, even recently of flying, I've had talks with pilots who would like to be able to leave the airlines or cut back on their flying time to work for themselves, but are apprehensive about it. So if you've been thinking about making a career change into real estate investing, it's been scary, this is a great video for you. So check out what Jake's got to say. I've got his social media links down below. He's got a channel that he just started up called Millionaire Mafia. And so if you have any questions specifically for Jake, feel free to reach out to him. If you have any questions for me, drop them down below and I'll be more than happy to answer them either in the comments or by making a video like this if it's something that's a little bit more in-depth answer. Please give this channel a subscribe, give the video a like, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Coming off, active duty, like especially as a commissioned pilot, like it's a little bit scary or apprehensive at first because you're making a middle class salary, like you're ready to, you're pretty well prepared, and then going out on your own, I think a lot of people are very apprehensive before they go out on their own. And we were just talking offline a little bit about some of the leave that's available, and so talk about as you're transitioning from active duty to now some paid leave, and then going forward when all that drops off, like why you are or are not apprehensive about some of that.
Yeah, so like I was saying before we came online here, I had a decent amount of leave saved up. So my last 4 months of being on active, so I got off. We're time now end of August, and I got off of active duty on the 1st of July. So it's essentially 2 months. But my last few months were essentially very low. I didn't fly much, and I mean, we come from a job where we're flying 50 plus hours a month, which doesn't sound like a lot, but in aviation world, that's a decent amount, especially in the helicopter world, especially in the military helicopter. So, I was only flying a few times a month at that point. So I was fortunate there, and that was just because of my previous years in the Marine Corps. We didn't get a lot of opportunity to use leave, so that was fortunate, and that helped. And during those last from really November of 2020, we bought a triplex, and then we bought like 5 units this year, and then we bought like single family or small multi, and then we bought about 200 units so far. So we bought a storage facility that was about 100 units. We bought a mobile home park.
My camper is a storage facility.
Yeah. That's right. I found that out from Richard. He called me. I was actually at Dick's looking for some fishing gear, and he was like, "Yeah, there's this guy Eric Dukeman." I was like, "Wait, what? Like Eric?" I was like, so anyway, I was like, "Yeah." So we got your camper. That was pretty funny. So because I was like, I don't remember him being there, because I was thinking of all the different, because we have an online software and all the different units. I was like, he's not in any of those. He's like, no, he's in one of the F spots, which is our store. I was like, okay, cool, got it. But anyway, so we bought that, and then we bought an apartment complex. We bought a mobile home park up in Gary, Indiana, which is where we're focusing a lot of our commercial stuff. And then we bought an office in Fort Walton, which is where we run our wholesaling business and our other my partner's software company out of there. So and then like I said, I bought a few other ones. So we were busy. I was fixing up those properties, my rentals, I'm kind of hands-on with my single family stuff. The commercial stuff, I'm hands-on, but in like sending emails, making calls, things like that. I'm not the one that's up there, collecting rent or anything like I am here. So that I was staying busy, right? So I was still working. Yes, I had a lot of time off, but I was flying once in a while, and I had to do all my VA appointments for the medical side, all my, separations, the TAPS classes and stuff. So I was doing stuff. I was putting the uniform on 3-4 days a week still and going in. It's just I wasn't necessarily flying. So that was a little weird. It made the transition easier because I had kind of already kissed off on the, being a pilot thing, right? Not that I didn't like it. It's just I was it was becoming more of a normal to me. And time was just flying because we were so busy. But the one thing, as far as actually leaving, I had set myself up. And Eric knows, I got passed over for promotion to the next rank back in 2016. And then I got passed the following year. You have 2 opportunities and then you're out. Well, normally I would have been out right away back in 2018, beginning of 2018, but the Marine Corps offered 3 years sets of orders that we could, take. So I took that. So I saw I had a finite tunnel. I knew where the end of that tunnel was. And so I just knew, hey, I need to ramp up my real estate business or whatever I'm going to do on that way out. Obviously we had all a lot of us started on the airline stuff, and then COVID happened. And so that changed plans, and it made me really glad that I didn't put all my eggs in that basket. Kind of like you, Eric, you got your rentals and all that stuff. So yeah, the aviation stuff kind of took a back seat, but you had other, you were working with, was it not Orbital? What was the other company? But yeah, those guys, right? That, and then that fell through. So that's the advantage of having that side gig. But anyway, what I was the most apprehensive about was how do I manage my time and medical stuff? Because I've got 4 kids, I'm married, I've got 4 kids, 8-year-old twins, a 10-year-old daughter, and then a 12-year-old, almost 13-year-old daughter. So, we're all very healthy. I'm probably the least healthy, honestly, at this point. But I was like, okay, so what do I do? Because, we're paying $250 a month for insurance essentially. And we get, whenever we want, we can go in and there's no copay, there's nothing. Right. So now we're going to, I don't even know what we do. So really, we haven't even necessarily figured that out yet, because we have 180 days of essentially TRICARE standard that we can use. So there's a copay and stuff, but my daughter just got done with physical therapy. She's a soccer player and she hurt her knee last year. And so, yeah, it was a copay, which wasn't bad, but 40 times, a couple times a week, every, coming out. And then that's just for, an hour physical therapy. Now, if they get sick or break a bone or whatever, that stuff starts to add up. So trying to figure that out. Eric knows that I have a pretty robust whole life policy that we can use for things, down the road. But that doesn't really help, medical health insurance type stuff for, basic stuff. So anyway, that's really honestly where I'm most apprehensive. Back in January, we essentially we hit a level where my rental income was exceeding my military income. So I was comfortable with the going out, on my own. That I'm not really worried about the income side, because I know that I can figure something, I can sell something off. I've got enough saved up, things like that. I could survive for, 5-10 years, with what I have right now. Go ahead.
Exactly what I want to dig into on this, because you talk about, you're apprehensive about the insurance side, right? And that's not really the scope of this conversation, but we can talk after this about that, because if any of you guys that are watching this have questions, message me down below, because if you have 2 employees, which includes yourself and your wife, I can set you up. I can point you in the right direction for insurance, or maybe I'll do a follow-on video for insurance, because I've set up insurance in Do Common Properties, my company, and it's super easy, but that's not kind of the scope. So that's great that's your biggest fear, because it's actually super easy to solve.
Perfect.
But I think what a lot of people's fear, what's hilarious is a lot of people's fear is how am I going to replace this great government pay, right? And you're okay, I was already replacing it, And when I left my squadron, before I even went down to flight school, I'd already replaced that pay, And that's most people's biggest fear that are watching this is probably how do I replace this great government paycheck, right? And you and I had already replaced that before we got out, right? So So you and I's big fear, the healthcare, like we can talk about how to solve that, or maybe we'll do another video on how to solve that. But like a lot of people watching this are probably like, how do I replace this like great government paycheck? But the fact is, it's a government paycheck. So let's talk a little bit about that. About like, hey, you were already set up before you even hit your 3 years of continuation to get out.
Right. Well, yeah. So, and it was, in, you know, just as well as I do, it's not easy, right? Like I know for a fact, I saw pictures of you up on a roof, ripping shingles off and working with some interesting characters. Let's say that. So it's not all sunshines and rainbows. Like I'm going tomorrow, I'm mowing a couple lawns, some of my properties that were, you know, because I have 3 projects. Actually, one just got leased up. We talked a little bit ago about having over 100% occupancy. And I've pretty much had 105 to 110% occupancy on all my properties. So it's just, you know, it's not that hard. We're in a very good market for that. That's not always going to be the case, but anyway, that's a different conversation too. But anyway, like, you know, in 2017, February of 17 was when I bought my first rental property. Technically I was living in a house that I moved out of and continued to rent. So that became a rental, but it wasn't used or intended as a rental when I bought it. And I actually just sold that one, made like 110 grand off of it, and it's all, you know, tax free, right? So, anyway, you know, I bought that one and we did a burr, right? I'm sure you've done stuff on that, but you know, we basically fixed it up, put a tenant in place, refinanced it out, took that money, and then I was like, okay, so we had about 50 grand. We had sold a plot of land we had up in Kentucky that when I was in California, we thought we might retire on or whatever, and we just decided not to. So I had about 80 grand with refinancing that property out, pulling my money, so I had no money into it. And then I had, you know, 30 grand extra. So I had about 80 grand. And then, you know, Bob Preston, he had a mobile home park and he needed park JV partners, right? So I wasn't a passive investor. I was an active investor. I was part of the management, and myself and Blake both brought money, and we closed that mobile home park. And that's, you know, 17 units. And that's how we kind of got into it. Since, you know, after that, we bought 2 more mobile home parks that following year. One sucked, one did really well. We turned that really, really good one into, you know, another 100 units. And that the one that sucked, it's actually our easiest. It's a turnkey park. It is for sale, but we're just because it's small. But that one actually literally is like no stress. So, but it took a long time because we bought it wrong. But yeah, so that was like the foundation. And then the last year, you know, I bought into a wholesaling company with my partner Tyler, and you know, I just always looked for opportunities, right? Like you kind of create your own opportunities, right? So, you know, people call it being lucky and being in the right place at the right time, and there is some of that. But if you always constantly put yourself in that position, you tend to find yourself being that lucky person because you put yourself in that position. So it took about 18 months though. I say, like, it's my mindset. So I just started a YouTube channel myself, and I just started, and, you know, I don't have that many subscribers, and that's not really my intent. I'm not trying to monetize it. I'm trying to get information out there to people, do the same thing Eric's doing, you know, same thing you're doing. But my intent is to teach people, you know, but I'm going to give it 18 months, right? No matter what, I'm going to keep posting a couple times a week, and I'm going to do it for 18 months. It works out great. If it doesn't, I've got a lot of great training material that I can put my kids through in a couple of years when they take over the business and do that, right? So during that time, I've already raised 100 grand on just from people that are like, dude, when are you going to take my money? I just saw you, I'm here, you know, and stuff like that. There are people I knew from, you know, previous back in the day, but they either didn't know what I did or didn't understand it to the full potential of what I do. And then, so we got a deal. We just locked one up in Central Florida. You can bleep me out. In Central Florida, and we're going to fund that thing, and we're going to hotel it. We're going to, you know, make probably 30, 40 grand off it. So, you know, and he's going to make money. He's going to make a lot of money, and we're going to make money. It's going to be great. So, nice. But I was in that position because of just taking opportunities and doing stuff with it. So that it was scary, that first one, because I had no construction background. Like, I played baseball and I picked up dog crap at a kennel. That's what I did in high school and college. So, like, and then I flew helicopters. Like that, I had no idea how to rehab a house. But I looked on YouTube, and I just figured out how to paint a house. I figured out how to lay flooring, how to redo wiring, like electrical outlets, how to do drywall, how to whatever, right? So that's what I did, and I learned how to do it on the first one. I took leave. I was at 28 at the time, and I took about a month to leave off, and I just figured it out, and there was a lot of work, and but then the next one was easier. So.
Yeah, I'd say I think that's pretty similar, like to me, in that like I had no real skills. I know how to fly helicopters, and then between YouTube, hard work, and an 18-month deferred interest Lowe's card, like everything else worked out like from the beginning. I don't know.
Yeah.
So.
And we bought it. I wish I would have bought 10 years ago. We all probably do, but I bought it. The market was still coming up. That was a time when you could still barely find it, but you could still find properties on the MLS, which is good because I had no other way. I had no other knowledge on how to find one. We found one off the MLS. It was an REO. It was going to auction the next day. Like we closed at 1600 on Tuesday. It was going to an auction the next morning. So it was like, and I had no idea, and we bought it right, found out we bought it right, fixed it up. We were all in about 75 grand. It appraised out at 130. So, and then we were able to pull that out and then use it on another one. And then just, you learn, you read books, went to the pig, I became a member there. We did the MIG up at Whiting. I don't think you ever were on that, but
I think I went to one of them before I got out, but it was like just starting up right as I was getting out.
Yeah, and then it got shut down. Did I tell you about that? I think I did a video on that. But all right, it was part of the video.
They shut down the MIG?
The base XO threatened to literally arrest me if I didn't shut it down. CCing the base CO at the time, I forget who it was. It wasn't the current one. This was obviously 3 years ago.
So if anyone's watching this that hasn't joined the military yet and you plan on being an officer, never trust an officer who hasn't gotten at least one nip lock. Like, I'll just throw that out there as someone I have more COs that's given me a nip lock than haven't given me a nip lock at this point. So there you go. You got two of us on here.
So yeah, I mean, I don't have anything official in my jacket, but he basically threatened or said that we were running a business using, military resources, which we were meeting at 7 a.m. before anything was going on. We were all in uniform. We just snibbed to fly a little bit later.
We were the only people paying for food on base there when I went.
Yeah,
we were keeping base establishment open.
Yeah, and we weren't actually, we ended up doing deals with each other, which was more of a partnership, but we were doing education. We're like, hey, here's how you do a VA loan. Here's how you do a BRRRR. Here's how you buy a mobile home park. Here's what the numbers on a commercial. Like we were teaching, right? No different than like meeting as like a religious club or a soccer club or whatever. So no different. It just they didn't like it. There were some things I could have probably done differently, but at the end of the day, I tried to keep it alive off base, but it just wasn't convenient. We can't wear a uniform out in town. So it is what it is.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, I think that's exciting. I think that's the big things. Like, like it was a lot of hard work. I had to do roofs. You had to paint houses. Like you had to get your elbows. You had to put in some elbow grease. But just by preparing on your way out the door, it was hard work, but it wasn't intellectually demanding to replace an income on the way out. Is that fair? Yeah,
I agree. There was things I had to learn, on strategies and tactics for acquiring houses and way to negotiate things that I didn't know before. But honestly, I'm kind of a big dumb idiot. So if I can figure it out, it's just I read a lot. I'm not a very fast reader. So I had to read things a couple times. But I just use books. I've got a core set of books that have read. I've read hundreds of them, but I've got a few that I like and I recommend to everybody. And anyway, so that really helped me. That was my foundation to get me started. And then from there it was just learning more and more over time. So just a little bit of knowledge, just keep taking a step every day, one more step, keep going. That's what success is, right? Success is not one big jump from beginning to end. It's thousands of small steps all focused in the right direction, right? That's what success is. If you could take thousands of steps, but if they're all over the place, you're not going to get there, right? So you got to have them all focused one direction and you'll eventually get there. So
nice. Now I've been out for a little bit longer, so I have a lot of people reaching out to me pretty regularly wanting to talk. If you want to talk to me, I'll put a few links down below. One's to a couple of my Amazon books. So go ahead. If you've read one of those, left a verified review, be more than happy to talk more in depth. Also, feel free to reach out to me here on the YouTube channel or on the Facebook link that I put down below. And then for you, what would you say that are some of the best ways for people to reach out to you if they want to? They're like, hey man, I'm getting out. I'm super scared. I see that you did it right. Like how do I want to talk to you about this? And what's the best way to talk to you?
Yeah, so the best way to get a hold of me directly, I mean, you can find me on Facebook and just, Jake Chambers, be the guy with, with the, I got a old helicopter, aviation photo, but you can hit me up on my email. Just hit my personal email. It's my name, Jacob, Jacob, .chambers16@gmail.com. And then I have I have a YouTube channel that I just started. It's a Millionaire Mafia. And it's the heir is HEIR, because it's the whole point of it is to teach my heirs and help other people to create a 200-year vision on looking 8, 9, 10 generations down the road, and you're long gone, and how have you set yourself up, and the intent is to eventually essentially set ourselves up like the Rockefellers did, how they set their family up like a business and like a bank, and then teach them. So my kids, watching in my stuff, you'll see my kids and the laying floors, painting, vacuuming and doing stuff like that, doing lawn stuff. My daughter just went out and mowed a couple lawns, like that kind of stuff. They're involved in the business and they're on payroll, and I've used ways, tax preferred or tax deferred ways to get them set up pretty well in life. And that's what it's all about to me. I know I'll be good, but I want to set up my kids, and I don't want to give them they're not going to get any money, but they're going to be given opportunities to grow their own businesses and do stuff through what I've created, my wife and I, in our businesses. So that's what I'm trying to do. That's my whole goal. Obviously I want to teach them to be productive members of society. But anyway, that's how you get a hold of me. But yeah, like I said, my email is probably best. If Eric, you can pass me my number if you want or whatever. I'm not going to push it out on social media, but you got my email. You can hit me up, and then we'll talk over the phone if it goes from there.
Yeah, we'll put that email and Jake's channel down below, so please check that out. I've been watching those; they've been pretty good, and so you'll be able to see more down there. So thanks for watching.